Hi everyone, this is Zhigang Wu. Today I'm gonna show you a new topic, normal distribution. So is there anyone who have heard about normal distribution before? Okay, great. Then what is normal distribution? So look at this curve. Has any one of you have heard about this, have seen this curve before? Okay, cool. So can anyone tell me what's the character of this curve? Anything. Just tell me what you see about this curve. Basically, when first take a look at this curve, it has like pretty like wide and thin head, and when we look at the behavior of these tails, it's like pretty long and thin, right? So this curve is one of the most important figure in studying statistics. Um, like people usually use this curve to approximate data. Like for example, um, given a number of people like taking the test, um, people like teacher wanted to estimate like how well they did on the test. So probably the outcome will be something like this, right? The head means the average, like the average score, probably like something like 60 or like 80, something like that. And there will be the standard deviation, like um, the spread of the data. And then there will be some outliers. For example, some people they did really bad on the curve, but there won't be too many, hopefully. And there also be some people who did very well on the test, right? So basically, that's the interpretation of this curve. And now um, I'll tell you the magic of normal distribution. So as long as we are given the standard deviation and the mean, so the mean usually we use the Greek letter mu, and the standard deviation usually we use the Greek letter sigma. So as long as we know mu and sigma, we can use normal distribution to approximate the spread of the data. Like for example, I'll tell you the average of the test is like 70 and the standard deviation is 10. So from the graph, I can tell you like, oh, most people would be in the range like 80 and 60. So that's one standard deviation away from the mean. And there will be like 99% people lying under like 140. So that's what I can tell from this graph, right? So there is one more fact about normal distribution. So some of the data we collected may not behave like normal distribution at the beginning. Like for example, when we take only one student, we can't even draw a graph about that, right? So in order to have the shape like normal distribution, we need to take huge amount of data, like sometimes thousands, millions of the data to have a thing look at this. So at the beginning, like when we take 3 or 4 students, when we have a distribution like that, for example, if we take some students that their grade are pretty high, so when we have the mean something right there, but when we take more and more data, the graph would be exactly like what we get at the beginning, the normal distribution. So now I would like you guys solve a question. Given a set of data that is normally distributed, what is the percentage that is more than 2 standard deviation away from the mean? Okay, so now you guys can pair up, split into small groups. I suggest that 2 people in a group, and there will be like 8 or 9 groups in this class. And I'll give you 2 minutes for this question. So discuss with your neighbor. Hurry up. Don't worry, this is just a small quiz. it won't count as part of the grade. So just let me know what you have. Okay, now what's the answer? I see someone get 5%. Is that correct? Huh. Some people don't think that. So let's see what we have here. So um, from the graph, we know that there are 95% data lying within two standard deviation, right? So which means that there will be 5% out of two standard deviation. But wait a second. What do we ask for? So we are asking for more than two standard deviation, right? So here is the boundary of two standard deviation. We are asking to calculate what percent of data lying in this part. So what does the 5% tell us? They tell us that it tells us that there will be the sum of these two parts, both like below the two standard deviation and above the two standard deviation. Their sum is 5%. So when divide by 5% by 2, we will get 2.5% of the data greater than two standard deviation. So guys, you need to be careful about what question is asking. That is pretty important in the later on study. Okay, so now another discussion. What is the limit of using normal distribution to analyze data? Is there any way to improve it? Okay, now I'm gonna give you 3 minutes with your um, classmate to discuss this problem. Okay. Now share your answers with the people with the group next to you and see if you get the same answer. Okay. Okay. Now, um, can anyone answer this question for me? Okay. Um, Actually, the limit of using normal distribution, as I said, you need to have great sample size, right? If you have small sample size, you can't do anything with normal distribution. Is there any way to improve it? Oh, okay. There is no way to improve normal distribution. It's just a fact observed by statistics. But you can improve the size of the data you collected by like collecting more and more data, right? As I said, like you taking more and more samples, and then you can get a perfectly bell-shaped normal distribution. Okay, basically that's all things we learned today. Thank you for watching the video.